I would love to live in an ASMR room. This is gonna sound so bad when I say, like, y'all are probably begging me to eat nutritional food. No one leave me a hate comment because I haven't seen The Princess Bride. Hey y'all, my name is Mare. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a question and answer because I reached 500 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel. It honestly means the world to me and I love chatting with you guys in the comments. And I've just gotten so many friends from starting my booktube channel and I'm honestly just so grateful for that. So thank you to everyone who has watched one of my videos and is subscribed to my channel. It really means a lot to me. I thought that what's a better way to celebrate than to do a question and answer, because I know y'all are nosy and I know that you guys want to know what's going on in my life because I personally am nosy myself. So I thought that I would answer some questions for you guys today. I asked on my Twitter and my Instagram, which are linked down below if you're not following me already, and I got a lot of questions actually. I was expecting maybe 2 responses, but I got over 60 questions. So I sorted all the questions into 3 categories. So I have questions specifically related to my booktube channel, I have general about me questions, and then I have bookish related questions. So I'll divide them into sections and have those timestamps in the description if you don't care about listening to me talk for this whole time, but honestly that's really rude of you. So the first section of questions that I'm going to go through is all related to my booktube channel. So question number 1 is, what is your favorite part about booktube, the book community, etc.? And I have to say that my favorite part about booktube is probably the friends that I've made. I absolutely adore every single one of you guys and I just love getting to talk to you guys all the time. Like literally it makes me smile so much whenever I receive a message from one of my friends. So thank you guys for talking to me and not finding me annoying. I really love that. I also have to say that I absolutely love coming up with video ideas. I think that the ideation process of making videos is my favorite part because I love coming up with concepts that I haven't seen before and I love testing them out. And I like to try and test limits and see what can really be done on booktube. And I just want to start making videos that I don't see and that I want to see. And that's my favorite part about booktube, is coming up with those ideas for sure. The second question that I got was related to growing as a small booktuber and maintaining that growth. I don't feel like I grew very quickly. I started my channel, I want to say in April or maybe May. I feel like looking from the outside in, you might think that I've gained subscribers really fast, but to be honest, I don't feel that way. I feel like I have struggled to get to where I am and I'm so proud of myself for being where I am. And I don't think that you should be worried about necessarily the number of subscribers that you have. You should be worrying about the content that you're creating and if you're proud of it. So while I think growth is important for your channel, if you are passionate about your ideas and you are putting your all into your video concepts, I think that subscribers will come. I'm going to link CATHRIN Manning, I believe is her name. I'm obsessed with her. She has the best videos and advice on how to grow as a small YouTuber. And I've definitely watched all of her videos and I've definitely optimized my videos so that they're available in search, which basically means that whenever someone searches for a certain video, I'm trying to make sure that I am on that top of that search list, which does definitely help. But I'm also not seeing a lot of growth from search engine, so I don't really feel like I'm an authority on this topic. I don't feel like I've grown very much, and I'm so thankful for all the growth that I have, but I feel like I am not the prime example, so I feel like I shouldn't be giving advice on this. Don't get discouraged if you aren't seeing numbers, because numbers aren't necessarily what this is about. Like, of course, it's nice to see that people are supporting your content and that people are interested in what you're posting, but I promise you, like, if you are passionate, that will come eventually. So the next question that I got is, how are you so creative? And this is a funny one because I feel like I'm not the most creative person on this platform. And I mean, I do think that I have different and unique ideas. I really do feel like that I can bring something to the platform, but whenever I get comments that are like, how did you come up with this idea? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't think it was that different or that unique. And like, I'm proud of myself for the video ideas that I come up with, but I don't know how I come up with those. I'll try to walk you guys through my process later because I did get a question on that, but I don't know. Thank you. The next question is, what is your favorite part about making videos? And I kind of answered this already, but specifically with videos, I would say comments and seeing people's responses to my videos. That is my favorite part because I'm never sure how an idea is going to do until it's actually out there. And so just seeing people's comments and their responses to it makes me so happy, and I love to interact with you guys there. So if you haven't commented on my videos yet and you do actually watch me, let me know because I would love to chat with you. Like, you're all my friends. So the next question is, what is your brainstorming process like? And if you guys want me to do a video on like my creative process and how I come up with video ideas, let me know, because I don't know if I can explain it very well right now. I'll try, but basically my process is just chaos. So I probably am not the most helpful person in telling you how to come up with creative video ideas, because like I said before, I have a lot of self-doubt with that and I'm not always sure about my ideas. But I will say that most of my video ideas do come from 2 a.m. sleepless nights. So I will be sitting there in my bed and closing my eyes, trying to sleep, and then I'll be thinking, oh my God, this would be a fun video idea. So I start with the idea just randomly coming to me, which isn't helpful, I know, but then I'll write it down in my notes on my phone and I will come back to it that next morning, or I'll come back to it later in the week. I have so many lists of videos that I want to do on my phone. It is absolutely absurd. I think there's probably like 100 ideas that I have that I just haven't gotten around to. I would say that my process is I get a random idea, I jot it down, and then I come back to it to evaluate that idea. And then I see what I can do to make it better. So for example, what I did with my Reading Like a Kardashian video, it actually started off as reality TV stars choose my TBR. So what I did was I went to Instagram and I tried to find reality TV stars posting about books, and that was really hard. So I decided to narrow down my scope once I realized that I was finding a lot of books that the Kardashians were posting about. And so then it turned into Kardashians choose my TBR. And from there, I decided to make it more open, I guess. I decided to do more Kardashian-related activities. So I recreated Kendall Jenner's Instagram post and made it book related. And so I sort of start with a broad idea and then I start to narrow it down as I get closer to wanting to execute it, if that makes sense. So that's my brainstorming process. I know that wasn't very helpful, but it is super chaotic, so I just wanted to explain it the best that I could. So the next question is, what inspired you to start your channel? And I honestly don't know. I think that I was just really bored in quarantine, so I decided to start my Booktube channel. I've always wanted to have a Booktube channel, but I was never super confident. I never had enough time, and in recent years, I honestly just haven't been reading, but I've been watching Booktube since middle school, and I am now a senior in college. So Booktube has been a huge part of my life. I have always watched it whenever I was watching YouTube. That would be the content that I was consuming, and I just wanted to be a part of this community that I have been adoring for so long, and I'm so glad that I did it. The next question is, how do you keep track of video ideas? And like I said before, I do have a notes section in my phone, but more specifically, when I come to actually creating those ideas, I do have a Google Drive spreadsheet where I insert all the dates that I want to post, and then I have the title of the video next to it. So I actually have my content planned until, I want to say, the end of the year. Obviously this changes, but I have to plan out my videos so that I can plan out my TBRs, because there's so many ideas that I want to do, but it's really hard for me to narrow down what I actually want to do in that moment. So that spreadsheet is really, really helpful for me. The next question is, who's my favorite booktuber? And I think that it's pretty obvious if you look at my channel. I absolutely adore Kayla from Books and Lala, and I just love how she comes up with the most creative ideas, and I just like, who's doing it like her? Like, I honestly don't know, because she blows me away constantly with all the concepts that she creates, and she really inspires me to make my own channel better and to try new ideas and to really just expand on my creativity. So she's definitely my favorite. I'm actually so upset because I only discovered her channel this year, and I've just been missing out on so much Kayla content, and I'm very upset about it. The next question is super interesting. It said, least favorite and your favorite video that you've ever done and why. So my least favorite, I could say a lot of videos for, because I actually have privatized a few of my videos. I want to say like maybe 10 of my first videos. I was just like whispering to the camera, like this was an ASMR account, and I just wasn't really confident yet. And I think that's something that I'm still working on and trying to be my true authentic self in front of the camera. Not because I'm trying to like pretend I'm someone I'm not, but just because it's really, really hard to talk to a screen. And it's really, really hard to make sure that your personality is shining in a way that seems authentic. So my first few videos, I am very embarrassed by. I mean, everyone has to start somewhere, so I'm not like ashamed of them, but I have privatized them because I feel like the energy is just so different from where I started versus where I am now just because of how comfortable I am. I think the video that I have public that I don't like very much is going to be my selection fan cast video. Please don't go watch this after you watch this video because I hate it. Feel like I wasn't very confident, like I said, and the only reason that it's still public is because it's one of the videos that I have with the most views. I'm not very proud of that video just because I don't feel like myself in it. Now, my favorite video is really hard because I just love coming up with video ideas, like I said, and I get excited about every single one of them. Whenever I think that I'm doing something that hasn't been done before, it just gets me so excited. I think that I'm gonna say 2 different videos for this. So execution-wise, like from start to finish, I think that the video that I am the proudest of is my Reading Like a Kardashian video, just because I think it's so unique, it's so fun, and I really feel like I did something with it, you know? Like, I think that it's something so different that a lot of people haven't done on Booktube, and I definitely want to do more videos like that in the future. I also have to say my reading 3 books with similar covers experiment, this was so much fun, even though it was so painful because I was just so excited about this idea, and I am just so happy that I did it because it was just a blast, and I just felt like it was something that hadn't been done before again, and I really want to add to the platform and really feel like I'm doing something different on Booktube. And the last Booktube related question is, who inspired you to start a Booktube channel? And this is hard because I feel like earlier I said that I started my Booktube channel just because I was bored. I didn't necessarily have a specific moment where I was like, you know what, I want to start a Booktube channel because of this person. I would have to say that the person I've been watching on Booktube the longest would have to be Emma Books. And I would have to say that if anyone has gotten me where I am today, it is her, because so many of the books that I read in high school were because of her. And so many of the books that I read now are because of her. And I consistently watch all of her videos still. And I've been doing that since middle school, which is absolutely nuts. So I am definitely very grateful to Emma for having her channel because she is definitely an inspiration for me. And I love all of her creative discussion videos. And she's just great. If you're not subscribed to her, I don't know why you would be subscribed to my channel and not subscribed to Emma's channel. But yeah, she is probably my biggest inspiration from like my origin story, if that makes sense. So now moving on to the second part of this Q&A, I'm going to be answering general questions or about me questions. These are all really, really fun. And I'm going to probably struggle choosing answers for them because these questions, some of them were really out there. So the first question for this section is favorite movies or TV shows. And my favorite movie, I would have to say, is Frozen or Frozen 2. I don't really watch movies, but I absolutely love everything animated by Disney. And Frozen is probably the movie that I've seen the most times in my life. Like, it's upward of 2 digits to give you a number if you really want one. But I absolutely love Frozen and Frozen 2 because I relate to Anna so much. I just feel like she's so bubbly and she's really like clueless half the time, and I really feel like I identify with that. So I love her and I love Frozen and all the music. As far as my favorite TV show, I would have to say I like comedy the most. I don't really watch like drama or horror. What are like the TV genres? I don't even know because all I do is read books. I very rarely watch movies or watch TV shows. What I do consistently watch now when they get updated is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is probably my favorite show, and then Superstore as well as Bob's Burgers. Also, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. It's my guilty pleasure and I love it. Actually, I don't even feel guilty about it because it's so much fun. The next question is Mare short for anything? And yes, Mare is short for Meredith, but all my friends call me Mare, so you guys are my friends and you can call me Mare. Are you in school? Yes, I am actually a senior in college, so I'm about to graduate. I'm scared, but it's fine. We're going into the world with this pandemic and hopefully we can get a job. The next question is, how many times have you seen Coin live? Also, can we go to a concert together after COVID? Yes, we can go to a concert after COVID together. I would love to. That sounds like so much fun. And I don't know the exact number that I've seen Coin. So if you don't know, Coin is one of my favorite bands of all time. They make like indie pop music, indie rock, and I just love all their songs. I've been listening to them since high school and I just absolutely adore them. I have seen them, I want to say 4 or 5 times. I haven't seen them the most out of like all the bands that I've gone to see in concerts for because before this pandemic, I really adored going to concerts, more so in high school than I did in college just because it's really expensive. But concerts are one of my happy places. I absolutely love going to music festivals and seeing bands play live. It's just so much fun. And I have seen Coin like 4 or 5 times because I don't think that they toured to where I lived until about 2016. So I hadn't had the opportunity to see them until very recently. The next question is, did you play any sports? No. Favorite fruit is pineapple or watermelon. I actually really like fruit. I also like bananas, apples. I'm not too picky, but I will say pineapple is probably my favorite fruit, and watermelon in the summertime is bliss. The next question is most embarrassing moment. The start of my Booktube channel, maybe? The next question is, what is the top song played of all the music you own? And I couldn't check it on Spotify because, does it tell you? I don't know if it tells you. If it does, let me know and I'll send you a screenshot of my actual top song. I will say that the song that most consistently shows up in my like end of year wrap up is I Don't Want to Dance by Klune once again, because they're one of my favorite bands and that's just one of my favorite songs. I have most recently been listening to Chloe and Halle's new album. Do It is my favorite song. Like, it's just so much fun, and Chloe and Halle have the most wonderful voices and their songs are just amazing and I love them. And I've also been listening to a lot of Ariana Grande lately. I was actually listening to her before she announced her new album was coming out by the end of October, and I freaked out. And she's definitely like my favorite artist beyond like a band scope. So I'm just so excited for her new album, and it's gonna be all you're hearing from me once that comes. The next question is, you've done videos on High School Musical, Camp Rock, and Hannah Montana. So what are your favorite Disney Channel memories? And this one's hard because, like I said, I have a really terrible memory. So if I do have anything really nostalgic attached to it, it's probably gone from my brain. But I will say that just the nostalgia of watching those shows again makes me so happy. Like, I rewatched Sweet Life on Deck about last fall, I want to say, and it was just a blast. I love rewatching all these shows and just being taken back to my childhood when things were a little bit less stressful. The next question is, if you could jump into any movie, what would it be? And this question's really fun, but like I said earlier, I don't really watch movies or films or anything. So I guess I would say Frozen, just because I love all the characters in there and I'm a child at heart, so I would love to be hanging out with Elsa and Anna. The next question is, what is your favorite comfort food? And I eat like the same 5 things. I'm really boring, and I don't know if there's any food that like specifically brings me comfort, but what I eat the most when I'm like feeling lazy is This is gonna sound so bad when I say, like, y'all are probably begging me to eat nutritional food, but I'll eat like a tortilla with melted cheese in it and I'm good to go. That's my dinner. The next question is, if you had to choose, what paranormal or supernatural creature would you be? I don't know if this counts, but I would love to be a wizard or a witch because I just want to have magic and I want to be able to cast spells, and that has been my dream since reading Harry Potter as a kid, is just finding my Hogwarts letter and being able to, you know, move things without actually moving because I'm lazy. So the next question is so funny. It says, who lives rent-free in your mind? And a lot of things live rent-free in my mind. I would have to say all of my friends, so all of my small Booktube friends, Reagan, Naima, Jess, Kirsten, you are all living in my mind rent-free, just so you know. I think about your videos all the time and I love just watching them, and it just gives me so much serotonin, so thank you. I also have to say Ariana Grande lives rent-free in my mind. I actually say the phrase, this lives rent-free in my mind, all the time. So I don't know why I can't think of anything specific right now, but I definitely use that phrase and things definitely get stuck in my brain rent-free. The next question says, which Disney princess would you choose to replace Wesley in The Princess Bride to get past Fezzik, Inigo, and Vizine to save Buttercup? And I'm so sorry, but I have not seen The Princess Bride. I have no idea what this means. No one leave me a hate comment because I haven't seen The Princess Bride. I am literally so uneducated when it comes to films. The next 2 questions were probably my favorite that I received because they're hilarious. But the first one is, if you had to choose between teleporting to a random location every time you sneeze or growing an inch every time you cough, which one would it be? I think I would have to say growing an inch every time I cough because, one, being tall is super powerful. I think it's a power move. But also, I don't know if I'd want to be teleported to a random location because what if I teleport to the middle of the ocean and I can't sneeze again to like teleport me again and I just drown? Like, it's just not a good situation if I'm teleporting to random places. And the last general question that I got is, why is ambiance pronounced the way it is? And Reagan, I wish that I could tell you, but it is not pronounced ambience. How did you say it? If you guys don't know, Reagan recently did a video where she said the word ambiance incorrectly. Me, Mary Grace, and Naima were all FaceTiming and she said the word ambiance, but she didn't say it like ambiance, she said it like ambience. And so we all just kind of like stopped for a minute, and I think it was Naima who was like, it's not pronounced ambiance or ambience. I can't even say it, but you know what the answer is? I don't know why ambiance is pronounced the way it is, but you're just gonna have to live with it. And now on to the the third and final category for this Q&A, and these are all book-related questions. The first question is, what's your favorite book of all time? And this is a really mean question to give me because I have no idea. I think if I had to pin it down to like my top two, I think I would have to say Beartown because that's my brand at this point. We all know that I love Frederick Bachman, and Beartown has just done a lot for me in terms of my booktube channel and just the direction of where I'm going and what kind of books that I want to read. And I also probably have to say Stardust by Neil Gaiman because I also owe that book a lot. I love Neil Gaiman, and Stardust is just the classic fairy tale and I absolutely adore it. And going off of that, the next question is, who's my favorite author? And I would have to say Frederick Bachman and Neil Gaiman. Neither of them have disappointed me yet. The next question is, what is my favorite trope? And I would have to say found family for sure. I love it when a group of characters all come together. It's just so wholesome. The next question is my favorite new adult romance novel, and I don't think that I have an answer to give you because I don't really read a lot of new adult, and I don't know if I read a lot of romance either. So I'm sorry that I don't have an answer for this, but clearly I need to read more new adult romance. The next question is, how did you fall in love with reading? And I remember when I was in elementary school, I would always just have a book on me. Like, there's not a time in my life that I can really remember not reading. I mean, obviously when I got to high school and college, I kind of stopped reading, but from a younger age, I was always reading. I was always carrying a book with me. I would bring it to dinner and people would get annoyed with me and be like, Meredith, put the book down, we're at the dinner table. But you know what? I had priorities. The next question is, what color should be featured more on book covers? And absolutely, it should be pink and yellow because I never have any pink or yellow books, and it makes me so upset because those are my favorite colors, and I would purchase more books if more books had pink and yellow on them. The next question is, have you ever gone off on a total rant about a book? And if so, what book was it? And yes, I have on my private videos. I feel like I have ranted about other books for sure on my channel, but like the two that I distinctly remember going in on are Serpent and Dove and The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The next question is, what is the craziest / wildest book you've ever read? And this goes to Charlie Presumed Dead, which I read for my Reading 3 Books with Similar Covers reading vlog. And this book was just crazy. Like, if you want more explanation, definitely go watch that video, which I'll link in the cards somewhere up here. And it is just a journey because Charlie is dead, or so everyone thinks, and then at his funeral his two girlfriends meet, and then they don't think that he's actually dead, so they go on this wild worldwide adventure to try and find him. And it is just nuts. I don't recommend you read it, but it is kind of entertaining from a standpoint of how wild it is. The next question is kind of related to those previous two, and it says least favorite book that you've read this year. And this is going to be Serpent and Dove, The Starless Sea, or Charlie Presumed Dead, but I think from like a literary standpoint, it has to be Charlie Presumed Dead. The next question is best book you recall reading as a kid, and I am gonna say, well, first of all, I don't know necessarily what age range you mean as a kid, so I'm going to look at like my formative reading years, which is when I was in middle school, and the book that I recall reading the most was Elsewhere, and I actually recently reread this, I want to say at the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and it wasn't as good as I remember it being, but I absolutely adored this book when I was younger. It's about a girl who dies, and then she goes to this place called Elsewhere, and in Elsewhere everyone ages backwards, and then they get reincarnated into the future once they reach age 0. So it was a weird concept, but I really liked it for some reason, and I don't know why, but I just would remember returning that to the library and then immediately going back to check it out because I wanted to reread it again. I also read the Divergent series in middle school, which is a really formative era for me. I absolutely adored Divergent, City of Bones, also Maximum Ride. I want to reread those to see if they're still good, but I adored those books. I read the manga series, I read all the books back to back, and I loved them. The next question is, who is your favorite villain? If you don't know, The Poppy War is an anti-hero story, so you're not supposed to root for the main character. So I would have to say Rin is my favorite villain just because of how complex she is, and I just love her. I hate to love her, but like I love her because she's so like strong and she knows what she wants, even if she does really bad things. The next question is a character that you love that everyone else hates. And I don't know, nothing's coming to my mind. I can think of characters that I hate that everyone loves, but I can't think of characters that I love that everyone hates. And I think this is just because I love to hate things. The next question is, who's an author you haven't read from but that you want to? And I'm going to say Christina Lauren for this question. And I actually am reading The Unhoneymooners this month, or not this month, in November, so I am reading it soon, but I haven't yet. Next is describe your perfect reading setting, real or imagined, and this is gonna sound ridiculous, but I would love to live in an ASMR room, like the common room ASMR rooms with the crackling fire and the light music and it's just the vibe. Like, I would love to be in the common room ASMR rooms and just read there. Like, it's just so atmospheric and exactly what I imagine when I think of my perfect reading setting. The next question is really long, so I'm gonna have to read it from the screen, but it says, which book character would you want to have a whirlwind romance that ends with you going your separate ways because the timing was never right, but you always remember them fondly and wonder if they're thinking about you, and then 30 years later you have an emotional reunion? I would have to say Will or Jace from the Shadowhunters Chronicles, because they are my OG book boyfriends. Like, I read these books in middle school, and again, it was just very formative for me. So I would have to say one of them, because I love them. The next question is, which one fictional character would you want to spend the whole day with? And I'm gonna cheat here and actually say a group of friends, so I'm sorry if this is like not the actual answer to your question, but I would love to be part of the friend group from Loveless by Alice Oseman, because I just love all the characters so much. They just read so authentic to me. They actually read like people that I would want to hang out with, and I absolutely adore them all. The next question is, if you could only read one book for the rest of your life, which book would it be? And I'm going to say Stardust by Neil Gaiman, because it's kind of a classic fairy tale and I feel like it has such rereadability. The next question is, which book character would you cast yourself as? And I love this question, but I also have no idea. I think that I would love to be Samantha from American Royals, because I do feel like I relate to her in just how she is as a character, and I really appreciate how she came to her character in the second book, and also just like the romance. If you know, you know, but like, I love Samantha and I think that we would get along. So I think I could play her pretty well. So the next two questions actually relate to each other, so I'm just going to kind of group them together. But they are, if you could only read one book genre for an entire year, what would it be and why? And then the second question is, if you could only read one book genre, what would it be? So I'm going to say contemporary for this one, because I just love contemporary. That's probably my most read genre besides like fantasy. And I just love being in the real world. I love reading about the human experience and how different people interpret it. And I love it. The next question is, what is your favorite book that has a film adaptation? And if it does, did you like it? And I would say City of Bones. I remember being so excited for the film adaptation when that first came out. That did not turn out well, obviously. And then it got even worse when Shadowhunters came out. So I don't watch Shadowhunters. I saw City of Bones when it first came out, but I don't like the adaptations, no. Next is, what is a book that Book Twitter and Booktube raved about that you did not like? I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and say Bookstagram is where I primarily saw this book, but Serpent and Dove, I've gone on rants about it many a time. I just don't like it. I don't like it, not one bit. There's insta-love, I hated the writing, all the characters were super annoying, and it's a no for me. If you like it, I'm happy for you, but Bookstagram really had me having these high expectations only for it to be hot garbage. The next question is, do you have a comfort book, a book that you go back to when you need a warm hug? And absolutely the Selection series by Kira Cass. I've talked about it enough on my channel, especially on my reread book tag. I literally answered the selection for every single question relating to rereading a book, because I reread it so much. I probably reread it once a year, because I just love Maxon and I just love being back in that world, and he's just the ideal person, you know what I'm saying? And I just love reading about him and his dialogue with America, and it just brings me so much joy to reread those. The next question is, which book would you love to live in the fictional world for, and which book would you hate to live in the fictional world for? Ooh. I think that a book world that I would love to live in would be Percy Jackson, but only if I was like a daughter of a lesser god, because I wouldn't want monsters attacking me all the time. But I remember loving those as a kid and just wanting to go to Camp Half-Blood. So definitely Percy Jackson, also Harry Potter. I always have wanted to go to Hogwarts, and going to Universal Studios in Florida and seeing the Wizarding World of Harry Potter for the first time was super, super magical. And I loved every minute of it. It just really makes you feel like you're immersed in that world. A world that I would hate to be in is a hard one, because I feel like there's a lot of them. I would not want to be in the Hunger Games. That would terrify me. I think that I didn't like those books a lot as a kid, because I was terrified of actually being in the Hunger Games, as if that was gonna happen to me. I mean, I don't know, but like, it freaked me out. The next question is, what book character or author would you love to have a 3-course meal with? I kind of want to have dinner with Neil Gaiman just because I love him so much, but I feel like it would be super awkward. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to, because I think I would just be embarrassing and like wouldn't be able to hold a conversation with them. The next question is, what's your favorite fantasy book? And this one's also kind of hard. I do primarily read young adult fantasy when I read fantasy. I am trying to branch more into adult, but I mean, I am just getting my love for reading back this year, so it's been a slow process. But I want to say like my favorite original fantasy series is again going to be City of Bones, because I just owe a lot to that series. Sorry, I've used it for so many of those questions, but I really want to reread those actually, because I think that's a big reason why I'm here today. Again, like I mentioned before, I loved Emma books, and that's because I love the Shadowhunters world so much. So I definitely owe it a lot for where I am now. But I think like pure fantasy world, maybe Strange the Dreamer would be my favorite fantasy book, because I just love how lyrical Laini Taylor writes, and I love Laszlo and all the characters in there, and I definitely want to reread that one as well. And the last question is, if you could take over one character's life and replace them, who would it be? I would say America's Singer from the selection, because I just love Maxon. All right, so those are all the questions that I'm going to be answering today. Thank you so much for everyone who sent me a question. I honestly couldn't believe the pure number that I had when I was making this document and answering all these questions, because I really expected no one to ask me anything. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching and for being here and subscribing to my channel. It truly means the world to me. If you aren't subscribed already and you're somehow watching this, go ahead and subscribe down below, as well as check me out on Twitter and Instagram. I have those linked in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching once again. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.